you want to take a look, Zach or Stephanie will pull a website up at the screen, but I assume that a lot of you have probably seen on various media sites all the attention for current legislation affecting schools, public schools. And in short, it's too difficult to summarize every single bill and file that currently pertains to education. There's well over 100 of them. However, I wanted to try to help educate our community on how to become informed and what action you can take to help. And then if you'll stay tuned during our superintendent reports and the board reports, we'll highlight a few of the bills that we think are most concerning to our district. So if you look at this website is wildledge.gov, and this has all the House bills and Senate files that are in legislation right now. Thankfully, the list is very well put together and it's very organized, so you can search at the top by keywords. Once you open a bill, aside from just reading the bill itself, there's a few things that I'd point you towards. So, Stephanie, if you'll open like House Bill 100, for example, you can see at the top there's various tabs. Obviously, that bill text is what's got the information, but right up at the top, you'll see sponsored by. Those are the legislators that have put that bill together. And so, in addition to reaching out to our local legislators, I would advise that you also reach out to the representatives who are sponsoring the bill and have them hear your voice as well. If you go along the top, the status just kind of gives you an idea of where it's progressing through the procedure. Amendments will show you if various things have changed in the bill, positive or negative. It's an easy way to find them. You can also see it in the text when the text changes colors. I'd also point you towards the fiscal note. So fiscal note will tell you what sort of financial impact it's going to have and what, and for the Board of Trustees, it's what one of these accounts that it might be pertinent to. So you can get a lot of good information there and really understand the impact of the bill. And then from there, there's a few other tabs, those you can kind of look through, but I want to keep our message short and sweet. We, as a district, through Dr. Libby and Parent Square, have provided several district opinions, as well as if you look out at the Rocket Miner, Sweetwater Now, WIO4, WEA has another great Facebook page where we've kind of summarized the ones that we think are impacting Sweetwater 1. That said, I leave it to you and your opinions, but once you form an opinion, I highly suggest that you reach out to our legislators and provide them with your input. So I was in Cheyenne 2 weeks ago with WSBA, and there are groups there daily fighting for us and fighting for Sweetwater 1. However, I had legislators come and tell me that while that was all great and grand, they really cared about the voice of their constituents. So that's what they're paying the most attention to. So in case you need it, you can also go to our district webpage, and on the home screen, right at the very top under Sweetwater 1 announcements, there's a blue link and it says Sweetwater County Local Legislator, reach out. Please go there and you can get the contact information right there on the top. Get the contact information for our legislators and please share because it is your voice that matters most to them. In fact, I've seen that on a few WEA posts, they've mentioned that because of people commenting, certain bills have already failed that would have affected us negatively. So please take the time to do that. With that, Dr. Libby, I'll turn it over to you for superintendent highlights.
Thank you very much, Chair Wright. Trustees, tonight we'll cover some of the same information. February's we have student enrollment. We have 199 students in the pre-K program. Our overall total enrollment is 4966. That is down from 4972, about 6 students from the start of the semester. Yes, it's frustrating. We're down 6 kids. A few of the things that I wanted to bring up. One's just an announcement and a notice. I don't know if you received it from the mayor. There's the board's been invited to the February 15th city council meeting with the mayor and local representative. It starts at 10 o'clock and there's a morning session and an afternoon session, runs from 10 to 2. But there's a morning session and afternoon session to meet with members of the community and a representative Hageman. Did I get that right? Hageman is, my understanding, is going to be present, and it's talk about some of the local legislation that's going through. That's not only has the potential of affecting the school district, but also affecting the city as a whole and its funding in the school district. One of the pieces of information that we got back this afternoon, which is really good news, is Senate File 0006 failed on the Senate floor, did not make its 2/3 vote. That was the constitutional amendment, which would have changed the entirety of the funding of public education across the state. So I try to stay relatively neutral in providing information to the community. I'm glad this one failed. So this is the best I could say right there. Move on. We have some information that we're going to highlight here. We'll be sending out information around graduation rates, and I just wanted to highlight some of the information that'll go out, and we'll get it out to the local newspaper starting tomorrow. We'll put it up on our Facebook page as well. Black Butte High School was recognized by the state as having a 13.1% increase in its graduation rate from last year, up to 88.9%. That's an attribute to the staff and the students that were at Black Butte last year and the work that was done by Mr. Blake and his team to make sure that they were really supporting those kids well as they went forward. Rock Springs High School increased theirs by a 0.1 to 97.1. Farson maintained its 100% graduation rate. Good job right there. Good job, Farson. I was going to bring up being at senior night since I saw you when you walked in for senior night for winter sports. The district as a whole increased to 80.2%, so we were up by almost 1%, which jumped us from 79 to 80%. And then the overall graduation rate here was 81.6%. So we're heading in the right direction. So the work that was done last year is great. We have done a significant amount of increases to the supports and services for our students. I'm really excited about where this is going to go. There's a lot that goes into it. So if you're recording those numbers and you add them all together from what the graduation rates are and you divide by 3 and you think you got the number, you didn't get the number. The state does something really hinky with how they weight scores from each of our buildings. And it starts with our 9th graders. And we know that 9th grade is kind of a struggling group for us as we transition from junior high to the high school. And that's going to continue to be a focus of our improvements as we move forward, is working with what we can do with the high schoolers. As far as some extra student highlights, and like I already said it, I made it up to Farson, I think a week or 2 ago. Was it 2 weeks? For senior night for basketball. The girls did outstanding. Came up a little bit short with the folks they were playing. The boys did excellent that night, but it was really fun to get out there and support the Pronghorns. And if you've not had a chance to get into that school when there is a sporting event going on, there's not a seat open in the house, and it is absolutely fantastic. It was so much fun to go up there for senior night and be a part of that. I appreciate the community coming out for that and supporting those students in that community so well. Another student highlight is we had an indoor track record broke. Bryn Biter broke the indoor girls long jump record, and the jump was 18 feet and 1/2 inch. Right? So the basketball hoop's 10 feet. 17 feet is 1 story, correct? For 1 story. So she jumped from the 1st floor to the 2nd floor and didn't use the steps. So that's absolutely fantastic. She is not here tonight. We do have an award for her coming up. So maybe we can steal her away from indoor practice, but we know that's important to her. One of the other things that I wanted to put out is I've had the honor and the pleasure to sit next to Miss Rondinelli the last 3 months. And I don't know if I said it before, but she is the first student I met here when I came and interviewed. She gave me the tour of the high school. So we've known each other for a while, and we had an opportunity that she wanted to share that as the student council president, she has been doing some work with the high school and Mr. Straka, and there is a change to graduation for caps and gowns this year. Students will be allowed to decorate their caps. So this will be the first time that that's ever occurred at Rock Springs High School, at least for a while. For a long while. Back in the day. We don't want to. Let's not. Okay. So, but I'm very excited and pleased that as the student council president, all the hard work and dedication that she's put into this senior year for her, and it's been an honor and a pleasure to sit next to her for the last 3 months and watch how her senior year has gone. So I'm really excited about that. And along with the awards and the celebrations, the winter was a really busy activity time for our students. We had all-state orchestra folks, we had all-state band and choir folks that received honors and awards for all-state band and choir. We had all-state superior awards in theater, and we had and honorable mentions. There is a significant list of students. This award ceremony tonight is for cheer. We will have all these names and awards for folks at an upcoming ceremony, but there are a significant number of names on here that I don't want to mess up. So I will wait until we get someone who knows all the names appropriately to pronounce them. Yeah, I'm happy I just got Dan's last name right tonight. You guys can stop taking bets on if I'm going to mess it up again. But with that, it's been a great winter. We had a great January. We're excited to move forward into the springtime. We've got some great activities coming up. I know that there is the snow coming event, and we've got our Green River Rock Springs High School basketball game rivalry that we're doing up at Western College. So if you can come up and support us up there, that would be great. We're going to fill that big gym, and hopefully we're going to take it to Green River at that basketball night. And with that, I'll pass it back over. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Libby. So we'll move forward to board reports. If I'm not mistaken, you're the one who reminded me. It's Bella's birthday soon? Tomorrow. So happy birthday to Bella.
Thank
and
you.
I remembered.
Thank you. What an honor.
So I do have a couple board reports, and then I'll turn it over to the rest of the trustees for anything they want to share. I did just want to share that this last Saturday, we did a 4-hour board retreat, and I feel that it's important for the public to know that the time was spent very constructively with Dr. Libby and most of the CAB directors, talking through short-term and long-term goals. We established values that we could all agree upon and that we will use to rate Dr. Libby's performance, as well as to do our board's evaluation going forward. So just at a high level, some of those values were academic progress, transparent culture, accountability, consistent and clear communication, and positive relationships. So while the discussions were much more in depth than that, I received feedback from several trustees stating that the time was valued and well spent, and it's likely that we'll do these on a more frequent basis going forward. I also wanted to update you guys. I don't believe we've had a policy committee meeting yet, but we are continuing our policy audit with WSBA. We're starting on Section J, which is students. And just in an effort of transparency, I wanted to let you guys know, after speaking with WSBA, we had quite the cleanup process to do, so it's going to take several months. We expect the original process to be done by about the end of this school year, and then it will take an additional couple months to get organized and make all of the audited policies readily available. But on that note, if you have other questions, please reach out to Trustee Schumacher and she can help you out. Lastly, and I'm sorry this one's going to be a little long-winded, but I did want to take a moment and see if we as a board could come up with a few board statements around a couple bills that are still pertaining to us and could negatively impact us if passed. So I mentioned this in the education corner, but I reached out to our local legislators, and Senator Kolb responded to me and said, "Is this your opinion or is this the board's opinion?" It was evident to me that the board's opinion is important to him and that we have a consensus. So I'll just highlight a couple. And to the point I made earlier, this is changing every single day. So I think I have this up to date as of today. But if I have it wrong, please forgive me. The good news is there were some really important bills, House Bill 100, House Bill 200, and that Senate File 6 that have died. Those were very important, and those would have negatively impacted us. The next one I'm not going to take a board comment on, but I would point you guys towards, and that's Senate File 156, which is the expenditure of state funds on K-12 public schools. It passed the Senate committee today by a vote of 14 to 13. And the bill was amended. However, it still includes asking for district safety money and the district's ability to decide what denotes an enhancement. And so WSBA and others are asking that you contact Senator Driscoll and provide him your feedback on this bill. The three that I wanted to touch on, number one is House Bill 199. So I'll give you a quick synopsis on this. It diverts $44.5 million of revenue each year from the account that funds public schools to an account that offers vouchers to any student who does not attend public school. The bill also removes income guidelines and now allows any student, regardless of income, to receive the $7,000 voucher with no accountability for the expenditures and a minimal ability to control against fraud or waste. The bill further removes some of the state superintendent's authorities to certify education service providers, meaning that it would be easier to qualify as an education service provider and receive those vouchers. So just to be really clear, these vouchers would not go to students or parents. They go to the education facility that's providing the services. But if I wanted to have, Cole's School of Magic, I could create that school and collect the vouchers as the school entity for those students. So it is concerning. So I would ask our board to consider making a statement asking our legislators to vote against this bill. With that, is there any discussion around that? Do you guys have any questions or comments on that one? Any concerns with asking our legislators to vote against that bill? Okay, thank you guys. I will follow up on that. The next one, Senate File 162. That changes the block grant model. It removes the flexibility to pay district staff at the local level. In short, that means it requires us to only pay for certified teachers through that block grant and removes the ability to pay for support staff this way. The bill would be effective immediately and could result in pay cuts or layoffs for anyone who currently receives pay through this funding. So again, I don't know the exact impact to our district, but I guarantee there is some. And so I would ask the board to consider a statement asking our legislators to vote against that bill as well. Is there any discussion or questions on that one? If not, this is pretty informal, but do you guys all agree to ask our legislators to vote against that bill? All right, thank you. Last but not least is House Bill 172. So I want to be as transparent with our board as I can, as well as with our community. Based on discussions with our legislators and WSBA, there's likely nothing that's going to stop this bill. So we can almost assume it's going to be passed. While I believe in and support our Second Amendment rights, removing gun-free zones for all individuals without improving our requirements around who can conceal carry is what brings me concerns. Our teachers deserve protection, and this bill would allow that. It would also allow anyone who passes a background check, pays for their concealed carry permit, and is approved by sheriff and RSPD, police chief, and DCI to possess a gun on school property. Furthermore, this could lead to 18-year-old students being able to conceal carry at school, depending on how local school boards craft their language pertaining to their schools. So I will make very clear that once this bill passes, or assuming the bill passes, it would be up to the Board of Trustees to write policies around this. However, that will only affect teachers and students, staff. It would not affect the public. So assuming this bill passes, the gun-free schools will go away. Public would be able to conceal carry with just those requirements. So just know that's likely headed our way. You can reach out to your legislators. I would love to see that happen, but we probably need to accept reality that that's coming our way and just be thinking about it. I do know a couple other districts in our state have created policies around this. Dr. Libby has those and he provided them to me just recently. We can disseminate that, but I suggest we start looking at it and consider some language that we want to start moving forward with. And then I thought I'd make a little joke. Dr. Seppi, when you're running for election, you said you want to make our board as boring as possible. So I'm doing the best I can at that right now. But last but not least, I just wanted to put in a plug as well. Dr. Libby brought this up, but that is on February 15th, Saturday. Mr. Mickelson, Mayor Mickelson is highlighting some of these same types of concerns, but that will be negatively impacting our city instead of our school. And again, our legislators need to hear our voice around it. So please try to attend. If not, please at least try to figure out what bills would impact our community and reach out to legislators. With that, that is all for me. So I know others have some board reports. Dr. Seppi, do you want to start?
Okay, so since our last meeting, I've had the opportunity to go to two committee meetings, saying there's several of them that call themselves boards as well. So committees or boards interchangeably. I'm part of the rec board that has met, similar to most of you guys weren't here. We have a discussion on what actually is overseen by that, which is quite a lot. Several of the school facilities that the community also has access to tends to be run by that fund. They've been doing several things, bleachers in several of the schools that are being looked at that are also utilized by the community as well. Wrestling mats at the junior high also being utilized, as well as some risers in some of the other schools for choirs and things like that. They do a very good job of making sure that we can provide some resources not only for our own students, but the community as a whole. So many of the elementary school fields that are utilized by baseball and football for little leagues and things like that are actually run by the rec board itself and actually pay for those funds. So they've done a very good job of trying to manage those. I was unaware prior to my time on this board how that was funded, and that's how they are doing that. Same with several of the gymnasiums, as well as like the weight room in Farson, also part of that allows the community to access those things. I'm also part of the foundation board. I was also unaware of how a lot of this worked, and they work very closely with Carries Access. I really push to be on this board. I'm very passionate about trying to help some of our disadvantaged students in our community. This is the board that does that. I mean, they do some amazing things. Not only Carries Access by itself, but Carries Access with the school board foundation allows students that weren't able to pay for instruments or attend a sports camp or pay for cleats, things like that, if they are given this information, can help these students actually receive some of that. And they've done some great things that aren't even just extracurricular, but just allowing the kids to be part of what all the other kids get to be. And that for me is a huge thing. They just had a Carries Access event that was very successful. They oversee several scholarships for seniors as well. And they don't get a lot of participation. So if you guys have any seniors, please reach out to that board and find out what their scholarships are, because sometimes they're not even being able to fulfill all of those things because they're not getting enough kids to apply to them. And whether it's $250 or $1,000, that's money to help kids beyond this time. The Blue Jeans Fund was another big one for teachers. I was unaware the foundation board oversees the Blue Jean Fund. I don't think anybody was very aware of this, and I think Dr. Libby did a very good job of bringing this up. The teachers paid into this fund back when they were paying on Fridays to wear blue jeans. There is a significant amount of money that should have been allowed for them to be used, but the way that we had the policies written, they really never had access to this. And so we've really just been kind of holding their money. And so between our board as well as the foundation board, we're trying to make that easier so that you guys provided this money to this thing. We're trying to make it easier for you to get it. And I don't think anybody ever really considered it. And so I will give Dr. Libby a pat on the back for this. He brought it up because this is your money. You guys should get to use it. This shouldn't just sit in a fund that never gets utilized. So I will give that to them. Last thing that I did was toured the junior high. Thank you for all the teachers, students, staff that spent time with me. I will give a big hand to Mr. Urban and Mr. Woodward. You guys seem to be doing a very good job. Thank you so much for really doing a good job with your students and your staff. I'm done.
Thanks, Dr. Seppi. Mr. Gardner.
Testing. The red light's on. Okay. I had the pleasure of attending a couple committee meetings over the last month. The Community Curriculum Council, we met, basically spent most of that time kind of going over our vision for the future as well as a Beyond Textbooks update. We got some numbers earlier in the workshop that I just wanted to highlight here because I think they're very relevant for the general public to be aware of. Beyond Textbooks is essentially a curriculum replacement. I don't want to misspeak, but we were due for a math curriculum, or so a math textbook upgrade last year that would have cost about $1 million. English language arts would have been this year. That would have been about a $3 million expenditure. We have transitioned to the Beyond Textbooks program. That upfront cost was about $50,000, which will decrease over time. We're paying about $15 per student, no matter how many subjects we end up utilizing that system for. There is a website that's pretty fantastic, has a ton of resources as far as what the system is all about, how it works. There's a parent portal that I would encourage all the parents in the district to access. Currently being used elementary and then secondary English and math, correct? So the one thing I was a little disappointed in when I started reaching out to members of the community is that a lot of our parents have no idea what it is and have not really received much information on that. So I don't know whether that's well, that's definitely something that we'll be addressing in the future. But ultimately, what I really love about that program is that it allows teachers to teach again, rather than handing them a pre-canned curriculum, which may or may not meet the standards that our state has set forth for the students. It hands standards to the teachers and gives them a lot of flexibility in how they want to administer the program. So speaking with teachers throughout the district, I've gotten a lot of feedback, mostly positive, even initially negative, that has swung around positive. But I would encourage everyone to ask around and get some more information on that. The favorite word I heard during that meeting was ownership. It allows our teachers to assume ownership, allows/forces, I guess, depending on which side you're on, but assume ownership for the results within their classrooms. I think that's fantastic. We did discuss a couple concerns about, there's a term you may hear with the Wyoming Department of Education, standards reduction. It's kind of a misnomer. A lot of people are immediately assuming that is a reduction in the level at which we expect our students to perform. That's not really the goal. The goal is to reduce the number of standards. There's a lot of complications with that, but the single biggest one being that standard, the rewriting of the standards don't necessarily align with the state's contract for rewriting the YTOP exams. And so there's some hurdles we're going to have to look at there. We don't want to be testing our students on standards that they weren't taught because of a misalignment with the Wyoming Department of Education. So that pretty much covers the Curriculum Council in a nutshell. Next meeting, I had the pleasure of attending Sweetwater BOCES. That was our organizational meeting. Nothing really changed on that. One of the highlights I'd bring forward is BOCES is receiving some funding requests for programs that were previously funded through some of the post-COVID relief funds. Sweetwater County BOCES is a phenomenal organization that provides a host of educational opportunities for all types of students and adults in our community. Generally, the goal is to fund as many projects as possible with the money that we have, but that's just something to keep in mind, that we're starting to see more requests because of that. And as well as concurrently facing potential decreased revenue from some of the state property tax legislation. For example, Senate File 69, if anybody wants to look into that, that's one of the major ones that could impact not just education, but first response and other entities in our community. And lastly, I just wanted to touch briefly, had the pleasure of attending pit meeting here in Rock Springs. It's a great discussion that happened there, talking about accelerated blocks survey that's going out to students, parents, and other stakeholders. The registration process, some concerns with college and dual enrollment, and how those are going to be, how those concerns can be mitigated. Had a fantastic conversation with Mr. Straka, and sorry, I'm terrible with names, but I really feel like they're really getting on top of the student performance at the high school, and some really unique and innovative ways for really helping those students succeed. And I believe that's all I have to report.
Thanks, Mr. Gardner. Mr. Sorensen, any updates? Okay.
No,
No. Ms. Wood, any updates?
I'm gonna wait till the.
Okay. Yep, Dr. Frank, sorry, any updates?
so apparently I am part of a lot of the teams that just like to have fun, because I really don't have a lot of numbers written down for you. But basically, the committees that I sit on are the Wellness Committee. We've met twice now. And these women, I tell you, have a lot of very good ideas as far as trying to get the whole Sweetwater One involved in just getting out and moving and more health related basis. And as far as January and February, the biggest things we're working on now, it's how many steps can you get as far as a competition amongst each building. And I tell you, people are competitive. And so, get your steps in is the big thing that's coming with the Wellness Committee as far as that. The other committee that I serve on is the Fine Arts Committee. It's very unique. I learned a lot of stuff when it's concerning, you would think, well, how is fine arts related to the school in any way? But when you look at it, going down to the Fine Arts Center, coming in February and March, you're going to have some of the grade schools displaying their artwork there. So it's just something that's unique to this community to showcase what our students can really do, just based on that fact. And then I also sit on the Sweetwater County BOCES committee, and so it was a reorganizational meeting. But yeah, the funding with that bill, when it comes to the property taxes, just please kind of take that into consideration, because BOCES is phenomenal for offering a whole bunch of different programs from kids to adults. I mean, it's a great project. But on the fun side, I was able to go to Music Bingo for Black Butte for their fundraiser, and it was at, Bad Joker Brewing, even though I don't drink, but it was very fun just to kind of sit down. It was 80s and 90s music, kind of the era when I was born, but you have to realize I was born in a little town in Idaho with 600 people. So I really didn't listen to a lot of that music, but it was fun as far as that went. I got to last week tour Sage Elementary, just to kind of start diving into schools more, meeting all the staff and so forth. And it was a very unique experience doing that. I also got to go to the pit meeting myself. That is a very educational meeting, and I just really appreciate the chance that I had to go there, including, parents as well as the teachers that showed up there. Learned a lot from that. And as a newbie coming into this, it really is starting to open my eyes up as far as that goes. Now, the next question I have for you all, do you all know what today is the beginning of? February 10th, Rock Springs, is decreed by the mayor last week at the city council. Principal Cheryl. There you go. February 10th through February 13th is Kindness Week, thanks to Eastside Elementary. And so I got to go to the city council to see these guys receive that award. And if anything is lacking nowadays, in my opinion, I think that's a pretty good show of kindness towards people nowadays. World's kind of getting a little squeaky. So kindness is really something that we need to put forward. So February 10th through February 13th. And lastly, and then I will shut up, I have had the extreme pleasure of being part of the Love Local. And that is a unique foundation now between Rock Springs High School and Green River. And again, in the past, I think it's been very competitive, and that's what drove a lot of things. But now it's both schools coming together and just supporting Sweetwater County as a whole. So there are a lot of things that we were coming up with. There's been a lot of requests. And for those of you that don't know what this is, we used to offer Make-A-Wish, and it's still available here. But now it is Love Local, which takes into part both schools and their fundraising to support Sweetwater County people in need. So there is a lot of things coming up over the next few weeks. I think there's going to be a huge talent show at the college, a Sweetwater talent. That would be very interesting to go see, just as a highlight. So that will be coming up a little later at the end of the month and through March. So, but it's been a really good learning experience for me so far. So I appreciate everyone and everything that they've taught so far.
Thanks, Dr. Franks. Ms. Schumacher, do you have anything? She's on the phone, I think.
Can you guys hear me?
We can. Go ahead.
So I don't really have any updates outside of what you've already reported on policy, because I am on the policy committee. I'm also on calendar, which we will be discussing later on and is a part of our agenda. So I'll just leave that for there. And then, of course, I'm also a part of extra duty, but we have not met on that one as well. So I'm just going to keep it short since I am just virtually tonight, but that is what I have.
Thank you. I see the dance team getting squirrely out there. I'll just say one last thing. Dance chair, sorry. I apologize. Okay. Anyways, one last thing, just for local admin teachers, please, if you guys are doing something amazing in your school, reach out and share it. I want to celebrate the positive things with you guys. So reach out, and I'd like to highlight those each month as we go as well. With that, we'll move on to recognition.
Good evening, Chair Wright, Superintendent Libby, and members of the board. If you'd please join me down front. So first this evening, Dr. Libby was able to congratulate Bryn on her accomplishment. And I know her parents are here. So if you guys want to come up, we will give you her certificate. That's awesome. You guys are turning it off. This evening, we would like to recognize Mr. Alexander Buckman and Ms. Samantha Warden for their dedication and commitment to enhancing the educational experience at Rock Springs High School. It has already made a remarkable impact. Through their collaboration, they have successfully brought the Trout in the Classroom program to life for our students, providing them with valuable hands-on learning opportunities in the areas of science, technology, engineering, arts, and mathematics. Mr. Buckman, our marine science teacher, enthusiastically took on the challenge of introducing this program to our school. He worked tirelessly to complete the application process, navigate plan reviews, submit grant requests, and ultimately secure approval for the program. His passion for the project and dedication to his students have been evident throughout the entire process. Ms. Warden, a social studies teacher and vice president of the local chapter of Trout Unlimited, Seaskity, played a pivotal role in ensuring the program's success. She not only secured the necessary funding, but also took the initiative to attend critical meetings and personally deliver the trout eggs from the Game and Fish to our school, ensuring that the project was up and running smoothly. Together, Mr. Buckman and Ms. Warden have provided our students with an invaluable real-world learning experience that connects them to their local environment and fosters a deep understanding of the natural world. Their efforts have not only enriched our curriculum, but have also inspired a sense of responsibility and stewardship in our students. If the high school administration, oh, did you guys already take pictures? Sorry, you guys are left out. We would like to extend our heartfelt gratitude to Fremont Motors, including Gabe Lloyd, General Manager, and Andy Sell, Sales Manager, Christine Sell, Service Manager, and Julian Martinez, Parts Manager, for their incredible generosity. Their donation of $5,975 will go directly toward providing school lunches for students in need, ensuring that no child goes hungry while receiving an education. Your commitment to supporting the community is truly inspiring, and we are deeply appreciative of your compassion and partnership. This donation will make a significant difference in the lives of many students and their families. Thank you for your kindness and dedication to making a positive impact on our community. We are fortunate to have you as a partner in this important cause. We would like to recognize Nicole Harper, a first grade teacher at Walnut Elementary, for her outstanding contribution to Beyond Textbook. Nicole submitted a slide presentation for a standard earlier this year, and after passing through the rigorous quality control process, it was accepted and published on the BT website for all educators to use. This accomplishment speaks volumes about Nicole's creativity, dedication, and commitment to supporting her fellow teachers and students. Her work is now available for educators across the district and beyond, helping to make a real impact in classrooms everywhere. Thank you, Nicole, for sharing your expertise and contributing to such a valuable resource. We're proud to have you as part of our team. We would like to take a moment to recognize Freddie Brock for his incredible generosity and support of our school community. Pilot Butte is working to implement a house system for the upcoming 25-26 school year, and we wanted to find a way to bring the system to life by purchasing dragons for each of our classes. When Pilot Butte reached out to Freddie about the possibility of helping them with the idea, he didn't hesitate. He not only donated his time and resources, but he also covered the costs of the 3D printing 84 dragons for the school. They had made the request on a Thursday, and by Monday, he had delivered all of them at no cost. Freddie's generosity is a perfect example of someone truly living Pilot Butte's school theme, Rise Above. He went above and beyond to make sure the vision became a reality, and for that, we are so grateful. Freddie, thank you for your selflessness and supporting our schools in such a meaningful way. Is Freddie here? We would like to recognize a group of outstanding young leaders from Rock Springs and Farson who recently organized and led a 3-day girls' camp. These incredible students from Rock Springs High School and Farson planned activities for over 150 campers, but it is their thoughtful gesture that we would like to highlight today. During the camp, they had the idea to create 100 handmade bracelets with positive messages like "You are loved" or "Believe in yourself," along with handwritten notes for each bracelet. These were then donated to the Rock Springs Junior High counseling team to distribute to students in need of a boost or going through a tough time. The bracelets have had a powerful impact, with students using them as reminders of positivity, self-worth, and resilience. Some were shared in small groups focused on friendship or coping with anxiety, while others were given to students after difficult emotional moments. The response has been overwhelmingly positive, with students even asking for more. This thoughtful and generous act truly embodies what it means to rise above, and we are so grateful for these young leaders and the kindness they've shared within our school community. The youth leaders include Bailey Cutler, senior at Rock Springs High School. If you're here, you can come on up. Autumn Madsen, junior at Farson Eden. Autumn Tanner, senior at Rock Springs High School. Kira Forbush, senior at Rock Springs High School. Kate Kilpack, senior at Rock Springs High School. And Jamie Lynn Stoffer, senior at Rock Springs High School. If I could have the administration from Farson and from Rock Springs High School join up front for a picture. And the junior high. I don't have anyone from the junior high. I've been. Next, we would like to recognize Mason Werkel. Number 89 was recently selected as the Wyoming 4A candidate to receive the Scotty Scott Outstanding Citizen Award. Mason has been a great representation of what it means to be a great student athlete, but even better, a great person and community member. He has contributed throughout his career at Rock Springs through team and individual community service events, community support of others, and has always been very selfless in helping others. He actively gives his time and effort to others in hopes of providing them with the best possible opportunities. He spends countless hours providing help and service to others from his internal motivations to make his community a better place for all. The Scotty Scott Outstanding Citizen Award is an award designed to recognize players who exhibit tremendous service and volunteerism in your school and in your community. Every classification will have a winner selected from the list of nominations. Nominated players have a proven track record of impact on their school and community through their service to others, and to be of high character and citizenship within your communities. Congratulations, Mason. If the Rock Springs High School administration team would join up. Okay, cheer, you're up. I see you guys out there. Come on in. Next, we would like to recognize our Tiger Cheer team. They are led by Coach Dina Duchamp, Assistant Varsity Coach Peyton Spalding, and JV Coach Reagan Jeffries. And they continue to set the bar for excellence in Wyoming cheerleading. This year's varsity team, made up of 10 seniors and 11 underclassmen, have achieved remarkable success, both individually and as a team, starting with bringing home 2 state championships this year in co-ed cheer and 4A all-girls stunt. This year, there are 7 all-state cheerleaders, the most in Wyoming for the second year in a row, and 16 All-American members. Tiger Cheer represents the highest standard of dedication and skill. The team has been training together since May 2024, committing to rigorous practices totaling 9 hours a week, starting their days at 5:30 a.m. Their hard work has resulted in historic achievements, including 3 state championship titles in the last 2 years, more than any other group before them in Rock Springs. Last year's championship win was the first for Rock Springs cheerleading since 2008, marking a significant milestone for the program. This outstanding team is led by 5 dedicated captains: Nevaeh Anderson, Ireland Liu, Gavin Tongate, Brooke East, and Addison Sellers. Their leadership, along with the relentless effort of the entire team, has solidified Tiger Cheer as a dominant force in Wyoming cheerleading. Rock Springs is incredibly proud of these athletes and their coaches for their dedication, passion, and history making. Good job, girls and boys.
One behind, don't look, you can barely see it, girl. Oh, Amelia, here we go. I see her. How long are you gonna bring out?
I did forget to say, the members include, Sean Barnes, Mason Werkel, Gavin Tongate, Hayden Bledsoe, Kennedy Terrell, Isabella Martinez, Jensen Cordova, Ireland Liu, Emma Hudson, Carly Kessler, Nevaeh Anderson, is it Dali Garcia, Kenley Green, Azalea Ruiz, Carla Moreno, Brooke East, Aislinn Abram, Noel Mosier, Sophia Rodriguez, Addison Sellers, and Genevieve Chavez. This evening, we would like to continue a tradition of honoring employees that have worked for Sweetwater Number 1 for 20 years. First, we'd like to start within curriculum, and we would like to recognize Monica Anderson. Is she here tonight? Yay, come on up, Miss Monica. Can Jody Gardner and Jessica Libby? Congratulations. Next, we would like to recognize two individuals at the district. First is the district PT, homeschool being Eastside Elementary, our physical therapist, Kendra Scott. Next, we're recognizing at the district level because she has helped us out at so many schools, Miss Cheryl Notman. Next, we would like to recognize Joanne Waddles from Food Service. Is Miss Joanne here tonight? No? Give her a round of applause. Miss Brittany Andrews from Pilot Butte. And we would like Mr. Marcy and Miss Otter. From Rock Springs High School, we would like to recognize Donna Plemmel, Elizabeth Sade, and Tracy Watkins. Are any of them here this evening? Nope. Next, we would like to recognize Mr. Christopher Aarons from Rock Springs Junior High. If Mr. Urban and, Mr. Woodward and Mr. Lott would join us up front as well. And last but not least, we would like to recognize Rochelle Knezovich from Transportation. If Mr. Busnell could join us up front. It is not accurate. It's not. Yeah, we gave it to Cheryl. That concludes our recognition for this evening.
Board Chair, I apologize. Through the awards and recognitions, I wanted to add one more in. At times, we struggle financially to find resources and supports for all of our programs. And we had a local member of the community reach out with a grant opportunity. And I wanted to make sure I let folks know. Mr. Clint Eddy presented us an opportunity for a $50,000 grant for the support of our CTE welding program. And I just wanted to make sure I said something this evening about that. Although we still have to fill it out and get it going, I absolutely appreciate folks bringing those types of opportunities to light for us because it helps us continue providing some fantastic programs for our students across the district. So with that, I wanted to publicly acknowledge Mr. Clinetti for assisting us with getting us that information for that grant. So I apologize for the delay.
Maurice, thank you. Okay, we'll move forward with roll call, Ms. Marie.
Mrs. Wood? Here. Mrs. Schumacher?
Here.
Mr. Franks?
Here.
Mr. Gardner?
Here.
Mr. Seppi?
Here.
Mr. Sorensen?
Here.
Chair Wright?
Here. Excellent. Okay, we'll move forward to the approval of the agenda. If I can have a motion to approve the agenda as presented, including addendums. It's moved by Mrs. Wood. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Dr. Franks. Any discussion? All right. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. Item number 4, if I can have a motion to suspend the board meeting and open the public hearing, please.
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Gardner and second by Ms. Wood. Again, any discussion? Okay, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
And any opposed? Great. Ms. Bolton?
Chair Wright, Superintendent Libby, and members of the board. This evening, the alternative calendars do come forward for vote for us to be able to do a survey and then send them forth to the state for approval. I appreciated the excellent discussion that occurred and questions that were asked on Saturday, so I'm hoping I can bring some of that information forward to shed some light. But as far as just the calendar itself, there is only one option that is coming forward. The entire district has been informed of that. We understand the want to try to start school as late as we can, and we honestly tried. Western has been excellent to work with, and when we found a mistake that could not be corrected on either side, we had to compromise. And so the only calendar coming forward actually starts on August 20th and I think ends the first week of June. And the reason is if we start school on August 27th, it's not the start of school that's the problem, but at semester when the kids return, we have seniors that are still in the first semester of their high school classes, but starting the second semester of their college classes, which means kids are going to have to choose to go to high school or to college because the schedules are not going to overlap during that time. And so we have to go with the calendar that starts on the 20th. There were some modifications to it. We know that everybody in Green River, and then we've got people that also, not everybody in Green River, let me rephrase that. Anybody we share with Green River or individuals that also work at the college, they really want us to try to align our calendars as much as possible for spring break. And Western and Green River had already had theirs solidified, so the calendar committee, we knew we couldn't go with the third week of March anymore. It was causing some issues with the getting in 9 practices for students to be able to compete or choosing a spring break. And so when I met with the college, they were willing to take their calendar back and if we could compromise and move our spring break to the 4th week in March. I've also been in contact with Green River and they are looking at what they can do to also match their calendars so that Green River, us, and Western are aligned for spring break. Another change is because of where the spring break was, where we had to move it to, in order to keep our instructional hours and days, we do not get President's Day off, but what we did was go ahead and black out another working Friday in February, just because it's long. Well, this year it's not cold, but it's usually cold and it's usually really dark. And so last year that was something that we had discussed as well. Instead of having 2 working Fridays, we'd only have 1 to give the staff a little bit of an extra break. Those are the main changes to the calendar. Are there any questions on the changes to the proposed calendars?
Or any questions?
The only question that was brought up to me by some constituents is the concern that we didn't know those things ahead of time. And I realized things happen as far as the changes with the college and everything and putting a calendar out for the employees to vote on. And then it turns out it really wasn't something that we could do. So just, I know we're always trying to look ahead and see things, but that was one feedback I got is that they feel like people feel like that happens a lot with our decisions. So I'm not sure. That's just the feedback I'm getting. So just so we can be mindful of that if we're going to put things out for a vote, it'd be good to have the right thing in front of them, things they can actually vote for.
Any other questions or comments?
There were some questions on the 4-day week that I just wanted to bring forward, and Dr. Seppi brought up some good points that I forget as we're going through this. Sometimes I assume people know stuff that maybe they don't, and so it's really good to review. As I mentioned before, it was made very clear that the calendar committee and an alternative calendar committee are 2 very separate things. And so for calendar committee, we didn't discuss an alternative calendar unless asked by the board. That isn't a committee that we typically run. But there are people that have brought up questions or concerns, so I just wanted to review real quick. The reason why the district went to the 4-day week in the first place was one, to provide professional development while limiting the time out of the classroom. We were getting a lot of feedback from the teachers that they were getting pulled out of the classroom significant amount of time throughout the week to attend committees and professional development, leaving substitute teachers in their place quite a bit. To provide blocks of uninterrupted collaboration time for all participants to attend PLC. What happens when PLC is through the day and we don't have any uninterrupted times, a lot of times principals are pulled, and they're kind of an important part to be in the PLCs. And it also increased the planning time. And then third, to use it as a recruiting and retaining a tool to try to get good quality teachers. Ultimately, if we can have teachers that are rested, have a family and home life work balance, but in addition, we are giving them the time to be able to analyze student data, have those discussions, and be able to plan around it. Ultimately, the end goal is to increase student achievement. As I had said before, that the research is, there really is not a ton of research out on school year calendars. The only research out there that supports any calendar is the year-round calendar. And it's because it gives longer breaks throughout the years and not 3 months. But that got shot down immediately. And so honestly, between the 4-day and 5-day week, you're really not going to find a ton of research. It all falls down to the quality of teaching. 4 or 5-day week, our time of instruction doesn't change. Actually, our K-6 grades have more instructional time than they did on the 5-day week, how the schedule's panned out. We do give a survey every single year. Another survey will go out this year because we have to turn it into the WDE to be approved for these schedules. And so we had about 1,100 parents that had participated in the last one, 411 staff and 34 students. I sent you guys the presentation, so it's broke down so you guys can see it. We asked about if they think that they're starting to see or it's helping positive attendance patterns. Of course, we'll pull the data, but parents in the 70s, 72, 79%, students saying 89, and staff 61.6. That was because we also changed the start times to try to move the start time back with the research showing for secondary students. If we could get the high school at 8:30, that would be great, but I don't know that that's ever going to happen with our busing puzzles that we have to figure out. If it's supporting student achievement, K-6 parents, 74 or 70.4, the 712 parents, about 66%, students 87, staff 63. Supporting school and home life balance, K-6 parents 78%, 712 73, students 88, staff 85. Other goals, really, is it supporting more planning and collaboration time for the staff? And 82.7% said yes. Provides more professional development opportunities for them on the Fridays, and 78.1% said yes. And then assists in keeping teachers in the classroom, 70.3%. We did ask if the 4-day week was a reason that they came to Sweetwater One or would stay, and 43.8% of the staff said yes. And if it's helped improve their morale, and 78.6% said yes. As far as support for the 4-day week, the K-6 parents, we had 74.6. 712, we had 70%, students 86.2, staff 80.3. That was the last survey that was given. If we pull the data, all of our reading scores have increased K-8, upward of 6.4%. They have decreased from transitioning from the 8th grade to the high school. The high school scores decreased. Across the board, our math scores are struggling, except 8th grade. They increased almost 7%. One thing that, like I said, we're focusing on the quality of instruction because that's really what the research supports. And one of the things that we're hearing as some feedback, there's 2 things that people were frustrated at first with math because so many hard concepts were being introduced right off the bat. But now they're starting to say that they understand why that is occurring, because instead of teaching the easy ones and leading up to the hard standards right before a test, they're having time the entire year to work through those so that kids are truly prepared. And we are starting to get some results on the interim test that some schools, not all schools, gave it on the Y-top. And what that does is test the standards for the whole year. And we're seeing significant increases in student proficiency from last year to this year, of students already being proficient of the standards over the course of the whole year. The Chapter 2 rules for scheduling there's a couple changes. The deadline, instead of being May 1st, is now April 1st. And we would qualify to apply for a calendar for up to 5 years. The calendar committee actually had a really good discussion around this, and it was decided we really don't want to apply more than 2 years, only because the state tends to change stuff a lot, and we don't want to be locked into a calendar if a change comes and isn't working out. So I stand for any questions. This really wasn't the 4-day week, and so I don't have a ton of stuff, but I'm happy, to support you guys or give you guys any information that you need moving forward. We are going to be pulling a calendar committee a year ahead of time next year in order to get our rotation of calendar committee so that we're not affecting the high school's registration schedule.
So just a point of clarification and transparency, this was a discussion brought up during our board retreat this last weekend. And ultimately, you guys correct me if I'm wrong, but the discussion was that we will spend a few months here fact-finding and doing some information research along with what Ms. Bolton has provided. But this fall, we would have a more open discussion around the 4-day, 5-day week for the 27-28 calendar. In other words, this coming year, that decision's already been made. And really the point would just be to let everybody know that it's a topic of conversation. We'll provide you with any of the facts and information that we have, and we'll try to do that in the fall and be as educated as possible doing so. The only question or rhetorical question I would ask, we did talk about this during our workshop, is there's also a financial implication to the 5-day school week. So just for everybody's information, a lot of the current legislation potentially dictates what the funding is going to look like for our district moving forward. And so I am not making a decision or even suggesting an opinion one way or the other, but I am letting you know that there is a financial impact to the 5-day school week. So if we're looking at restricted funding going forward, that's another consideration that we have to make. So just to clarify. That said, any questions for Ms. Bolton, Dr. Seppi?
So this isn't necessarily a question. It's a clarification on what happened in our board workshop. This is our board trying to listen to you guys. Going through campaigning, several of us, as well as we are all as a board trying to be very good about listening to our constituents. I've gotten a lot of questions on the 4- and 5-day week. I do not know which one is better. But I wanted to make sure that these questions were asked. And I've specifically pushed that we need to have these discussions when it comes time in front of you guys. I've had a lot of complaints that it felt like things have been done in the past and were not discussed in front of the public to give their information. So I implore you, any of you, anybody that you know, if you have an opinion of this, please reach out to this board. Use our public comment period, because I've gotten people that have come to me and said, I have a concern of this. And I always ask, have you reached out? No, I haven't. I don't feel welcome. And we are trying as a board to be very welcoming. We're trying to make the public comment period. We all have our emails available for you to contact us. You can contact Dr. Libby. If you have a strong opinion one way or another, or you have questions, please contact us. Because a lot of times when we discuss this, we say, well, we haven't heard anything from anybody. Well, that's concerning. I mean, we have nearly 5,000 students, 20-some thousand residents in this county, and we're getting very little comments. please, if you really like a 4-day week, speak out. If you really have concerns or you've seen something, let us know. We're trying to make decisions on little information sometimes from the public. So if you have something, let us all know so that we can discuss it, so that you can see that we actually did the work and didn't just choose something.
My question is on the surveys. Are those questions defined by the state, or are they questions we?
They're not defined by the state. They were questions that actually came out of somebody that was working in curriculum that at the time that does our surveys and stuff to try to just gear the questions around what our goals were.
The one question I'd like to propose beyond the survey that I really wish I could have had last time is, because the question asks, can I support the 4-day school week? Well, that's a different question than do I like this 4-day school week, or do I prefer it? And I'm fine with that question, but I think there needs to be a question that asks people, if you could choose, which would you want? Because that's a different question than can I support it?
Okay,
So I think it'd be nice for people to have that, be able to just click one or the other, or
sure.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, that's not a problem at all. One thing on the longitudinal data, which also was provided to you guys, clear back to 2010, 2011, when pause testing, and I still call it pause all the time, and I don't know why, but our scores have been decreasing since then. We see pretty good increases, third, fourth, up and down, all the way up until eighth, and we're seeing a drop in high school across the board. And we've been seeing it since 2010, 2011. The test did change in 17, 18 to YTOP, which was a lot more difficult, and we did see a pretty big decrease in scores, except in sixth grade math, or reading, sorry. Sixth grade reading went up, but everything else went down. We didn't give YTOP in 1920, and then we came back from the COVID in 2021, and then the 4-day week was implemented in 21, 22. And so I went off of the 4-day week for you guys to show the increases, but it's all interesting. The test changes all the time, so I'm not so sure how comparable it always is, but any further questions?
Any other questions? Thanks, Ms. Bowman. We
No
appreciate it.
problem.
Okay, item 6 is written public comments for the public hearing, and I don't show any submitted for that. So with that, we'll move forward. I'm sorry. Is there any public comment as it pertains to the public hearing? To the alternative calendar? Any public comment as it pertains to the alternative calendar? Okay, I'm not seeing any comments. Thanks. So we'll move forward to item 7. If I can have a motion to close the public hearing and reconvene the board meeting. Been moved by Mrs. Wood and seconded by Dr. Franks. Any discussion on this? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, item number 8 is our communications and correspondence. So again, thank you for attending today's board meeting and for your ongoing engagement with the district. As we move into the public comment portion, we kindly ask that each speaker limit their comments to one opportunity. If you have already submitted written comments, we kindly request that you refrain from addressing the board again on the same topic. All written comments will be posted in the written public comment section of the agenda for review by all attendees, including trustees. If you have a concern regarding a district employee, please know that in order to protect privacy and ensure due process, such matters will be addressed in a closed session. We encourage you to utilize the district's official complaint process, which can be found on the district's website along with the necessary forms. And lastly, if you are unable to finish your comments within the allotted 3 minutes, we invite you to submit the remainder in writing to the superintendent or board chair. These submissions will be shared with all board members after the meeting and will receive a response in the same manner as public comments. That will open up to public comment.
Hello, I'm Laura McKee, and thank you, Chairman or Superintendent Libby and board members for the opportunity to speak. I too have been watching legislation for the last several weeks, and actually went to Cheyenne myself and testified on several bills, ran back and forth between rooms to be able to do that. I think it's an important part of our obligation to just make sure the things that we want as Wyoming people to get done. And I wanted to compliment you guys on, I do like the new way the board is going. I like the discussions, all of that. It is a welcome change from what we've had before. So I thank you for that. I did want to talk really quick about, I wasn't planning on talking, but the HB 199, which, Cole had spoken about, the Wyoming Freedom Scholarship Act. It does have a lot of requirements in there. I do recommend you go in and read it, but it says that, to use the funds, it has to be qualifying expenses. People don't get a check for $7,000. They have to have qualified expenses to do that. They get paid quarterly, and if they do anything that's wrong, they are going to be prosecuted. So it's not just free money that way. It gives people the right to teach their children the way they see, which I think is very important. That states on page 8, under subsection II, it says it requires the ESA student receive instruction in at a minimum, reading, writing, math, civics, including studies of the United States Constitution, the Constitution of the State of Wyoming, history, literature, science. No parent shall be required to include any instruction that conflicts with their parents or the ESA student religious doctrines. That's what this act is for. It's for the parents who would like to teach their children and do it in some type of an act, whatever their beliefs are religiously. This is not an act to punish anybody or anything else. It's important. Other states have these freedoms. We do not. Wyoming has no freedom to choose anything in education. And I think that is very important for us to have that choice available. And like I said, they've done the bill well. I have listened to legislature all day, every day for all these weeks. And so I've heard the discussions, and I just wanted to bring that forth again. Read the bills and know what they're about. And it's good to go in. You can even look at the videos that are done now and listen to the discussions, and it'll help you to understand where they're coming from and why they're coming up with these bills. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, Dr. Libby, members of the board. My name is Cheryl Notman. I'm the Sweetwater Education Association president, and I'm here to open negotiations for our spring.
Thank you, Ms. Notman.
Any questions?
Any questions?
Thank you.
Any other public comment?
Good evening. My name is Allie Moser, and I am the co-chair of the Rock Springs High School Parent Involvement Team. I'm here to give our monthly PIT update. We believe that by giving monthly updates, it will help bring transparency and continuance of issues as we give voice to RSHS students, teachers, staff, and parents. We appreciate everyone that attended our February meeting, and at which we heard updates from the high school. Of particular note is that registration for next school year has begun, and we appreciate high school counselors being present at the PIT meeting to give insights and hear from those attending. We also were able to see the survey questions regarding the accelerated schedule. We appreciate that the high school is soliciting feedback from all stakeholders and that they are receptive to feedback and changes on the wording of some questions. Students are being given time in their first period class to complete the survey and will have many days to do so. Parents received their survey tonight via Parent Square. The survey is open until the 28th, allowing ample time for people to complete. PIT strongly encourages all stakeholders to take a few minutes and thoughtfully and honestly complete the survey. It is important to note that email addresses are not being collected, as this will hopefully allow for honesty and transparency in the feedback. The raw data from the surveys will be presented at the next PIT meeting, and we anticipate good discussion around the data. We welcome anyone interested, including students, teachers, parents, community members, board members, and central administration to attend our next PIT meeting on March 3rd at 7 a.m. at the main campus. A reminder that PIT meetings provide a time for valuable, open, face-to-face dialogue with the high school administrators and allows time and space to ask questions and gain further clarification on issues. Each meeting has an agenda. We take notes at each meeting and share those notes on our Facebook page, as well as those board reports, as we believe transparency is essential to the process. We can always be reached via email at rshspit307@gmail.com. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comment?
Well, hello, good evening. My name is Kimberly Piedra.
And I'm Kaylee Williams.
And we are in the Rock Springs High School Health Occupations Career Academy. And we are representing the Health Occupations Career Academy, the Academy of Public Service, and the CTE Academy at Rock Springs High School. This is our report of activities for the past month.
Students in all three academies will continue mentoring and job shadowing in our community. We completed 786 hours of mentoring and 1,060 hours of job shadowing in the last month. Students have also completed 456 community service hours in the last month. APS juniors are focusing on criminal investigation skills through the projects and case studies, and HOCA juniors completed their Shark Tank projects and presented these to community members.
APS sophomores will be attending numerous field trips and will have guest speakers in the coming months. If you are interested in serving as a guest speaker for any of the academies, we would love to have you. Several members of our academies will be attending the Mayor's Town Hall meeting on Saturday, February 15th to find out how we can support our community. And students will be attending the FBLA competition in March and the Skills USA competition in April. And we are looking forward to welcoming our new students into our academies for the fall of 2025.
Thank you so much.
And just like to thank you guys for all your involvement at our meetings and going to the town hall as well. So thank you guys for that. Any other public comments? Any other public comments? Okay, we'll move forward. We had no written public comments, so we will now move on to our response to previous month's public comments. Dr. Libby?
Now we're on. Once again, thank you. We had no written comments from last month. I do, though, we had some updates that came through WSBA for some questions that were asked around board evaluation, processes for board evaluation, superintendent evaluation. And what I did is we added those to the link on the webpage in the operational section that holds all of the answers and the responses for district operations and district protocols. So after we got the response back from Brian Farmer and we spoke, I added that information so that that information continued to be live to the public. And as we get any other questions or responses that come through, we'll just continue to add that information and that material to those Q&A questions that we've provided on the webpage. If by chance, if there are things that come from folks presenting tonight, or if a topic comes up that we know, I would suggest that as we move forward with conversations around calendar and whether it's 4 days or 5 days as we move, that we continue to use that opportunity to post any of those questions or any of those responses. Let's get them on the webpage too. Better to have it out there so folks can peruse it at their leisure and then ask questions off of that. So I'm more than happy to work with Ms. Bolton and Steph to get that information onto the webpage. Thank you.
Thank you. Moving on to item 9, the consent agenda. All matters listed under consent agenda are matters about which the board has governing policies, implementation of which is delegated to the superintendent. They will be enacted in one motion in the order listed below. There'll be no discussion of these items prior to the time the Board of Trustees votes on the motion unless members of the board request specific items to be held and discussed separately or removed from this section. So with that, if I can ask for a motion to approve the consent agenda.
For approval of the consent agenda.
It's been moved by Mr. Gardner, second. Second by Mr. Sorensen. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Excellent. Item 10 is the approval of the alternative schedules for all in-town schools, Desert School, Farson Eden School for the 2025, 2026, and 2026, 2027 school years. If I can please have a motion to approve the alternative schedules. Been moved by Mrs. Wood. Thank you. Is there a second? Second by Dr. Franks. Any discussion?
Mr. Chair. So I still have heartburn over Thanksgiving holiday. I spent some time with Annie Fletcher, who deals with kids at risk, and it's quite alarming to find out that we have in excess of 200 students in our district that are considered homeless. And one thing I promised myself is I'd try to vote what's best for the education of our kids and what's best for those who are least served. I don't know the rest of the board's opinion on it. I'm fine either way. In general, the schedule's fine, but I'm going to vote no if we keep a 5-day. I just want to let you know why I'm voting that way. I think it's a little reckless to just leave for 10 days and not think of all the people who need to be served.
Are there other comments, other discussion?
Pardon me, Chairman, I wanted just to let folks know that as we work through our at-risk kids, I do know that the backpack program that occurs over those breaks, that we did put and do put additional food in for those longer breaks for our students to cover those students. We are working with Ms. Aramaspi to see if there's opportunities, because we do have long breaks, and in the past, we were allowed to, in many situations, to leave a kitchen open for students to receive breakfast or lunches through those services. So we're continuing to see if that's a capability as we continue to move forward. Backpacks only hold so much. And we are also in the process of working with some community members around providing free food shelves in all of our schools for community members to also have access and support over that same time period. So thank you.
The only other comment I might add is I feel the same way about Christmas break, which is almost inevitable the way it is. And if you guys remember, prior to Christmas, I just asked, I made the mention that while majority of families are looking forward to it, not all families or not all kids are. And so I just say it's another opportunity for us as a community to think about those who might find those extra couple of days difficult and try to lend a hand in any way you can. So, but thank you for that, Dr. Seppi.
I just want to reiterate a little bit of Josh or Mr. Sorensen's stuff. Unfortunately, I think we're faced with a less than perfect solution right now. I raised some questions about the schedule. Unfortunately, I think part of the time we're too late to the game. We're pretty late in the process right now. It's an imperfect system, and I don't know that we'll ever make it perfect. But we are very concerned about the students and like the backpack programs and things like that. I've been pushing really hard. I think that there is a better solution to support all of the schools and all the students. Right now, it's kind of separate, and I think that's something we're really trying to get a hold on, because the students are what we're most concerned with. I don't think that we have a perfect solution. So as we vote all tonight, don't think that we haven't put thought into this. We put a lot. And I think that we're trying to make this process even better in the future. There's going to be holes, and we need to know about them so that we can make a better choice in the future. The nice part is we also have the ability to amend this in the future as well. Even if we adopt it, we can amend it if something were to come to light that we weren't aware of. Next year's pretty limited on what we can amend, but the year after we most certainly could. So I appreciate everybody's discussion. I understand that all of us are really trying hard to provide what's best for our students, but also realize that it's an imperfect system for sure.
Any other discussion?
when my wife sends me to the grocery store, she tells me 3 things and I forget one. So, so I talked about the kids at risk, but also I want to make it clear, I think that we do a huge disservice to kids with a 5-day Thanksgiving break. I think it's just too big a break for learning loss. And I know that there's 1/3 of the kids aren't here anyways, but I think there's 2/3 of the kids is kind of important. So I think it, on all accounts, in my book, it's the best way to do. And I think it's just in my opinion, what's most important.
Yeah, so in no argument to the homeless or the population that needs food, I agree with that fully. But as far as the instructional time for kids, and I don't know if Ms. Schumacher wants to speak up, but I do know that we do know that 1/3 of the population is not present during those days between staff and students. The other thing I'd say is, just from my experience talking to teachers, because of the way you're coming back for 2 days and then leaving again, sometimes that instruction is not as quality as it is for a full week. So just a bit of playing devil's advocate. I know that's been thrown out there as part of the discussion as well.
And Mr. Wright, if I could.
Yes.
Just going to that point, I mean, it's something that I have brought up before, so I know that people are aware of essentially what it is that I've said, but that is one of the things that I have talked to our staff about, our teachers, and those that are within the schools as well, where they do find it hard to keep a lot of the students on task. It's either that or they just have minimal kids that are showing up to their classes because of the way that the weeks are falling when we do go to school Monday, Tuesday during those weeks. I mean, again, just another point that has been brought to me, and students do benefit from this as well. It's not just our teachers and staff or administration, but they do get that extra opportunity to maybe take a break with their kids during the school year that you normally do not get. You go from summer and then you have to wait until Christmas break to really get that. And that's if traveling's okay. And then maybe if that's not, then you have to wait clear to spring break. So that's another thing that I know has been something I've discussed with teachers and staff of our school district, is that ultimately they enjoy that, but it's also their kids that also get to enjoy that opportunity. And so I definitely understand the concerns with at risk and homeless and all the things, but I do believe that our district has been considerate of that. I do think that there's not only our academies that are considerate of it, but our schools do have programs that are taking that into account as well. And I think that it can just grow from there, and ultimately knowing it, especially with us being set with the schedule for 2 years, like we are, kind of like Mr. Seppi was saying, as far as that all goes. So ultimately, that's just one thing that I know that in speaking with that side of the school, that's something that I take into consideration when I'm looking at the calendar itself.
Thanks, Ms. Schumacher. Mr. Gardner?
Chairman Wright, I just wanted to basically add clarification prior to the vote. I too will have to be voting no on this calendar, mostly just to ensure that we have better information gathering in the future. I think it's going to carry, but I can't in good conscience support something that every single constituent that I've spoken to in the community, for the exact same reason, the Thanksgiving holiday, has expressed frustration, mostly around learning loss. And it wasn't something that we even had the opportunity as a board to discuss. That wasn't one of the options that was presented when it came forward. So I know we asked the teachers sort of anecdotally. We've got some subjective data here where teachers said, I don't think it's really a big deal. If I go ahead, Ms. Bolden, if you have some data, I welcome it.
The calendar did go out to the staff. We've never surveyed the community. Now, whether that changes in the future or not, that's up to you guys. But a 3-day Thanksgiving was given as an option for a vote. The reason why the 2 that came forward is because they were the 2 that were the highest, and because they had 2 different start dates, which,
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
I appreciate the clarification there.
yeah.
I meant just simply for by the time it got to the board. But since the process has always included the staff and the staff alone, I understand that. I think that we might have competing interests in some ways when it comes down to this. And I know we've addressed it. We've talked about learning loss. We've talked about the staff's feelings about learning loss, but I don't know that we have any real quantifiable data to just sit here and say, nope, it's fine. There's, there's no problem. And based on my job is to represent the interests of my constituents, and overwhelmingly, they have actually universally, I have not had one person tell me that they are in favor of the 5-day Thanksgiving week break. So for that reason and that reason alone, I will have to be voting no for on this calendar.
So, Mr. Sorensen, maybe you can clarify on this as well, Vince, that you sat on this, but if I recall from when I sat on calendar committee, there's a couple other things to be considering as well, which is balancing the number of days per semester as well as the days off. I know in the past we had I don't know that it was called a hunting holiday, but a day in October when that date got discussed. This was 2 years ago, so anything you'd like to add, please do. But the deer lovers wanted it to be October 1st. The elk lovers wanted it to be October 15th, and then the discussion was, well, if it's neither of those, where does that day go? That's kind of what led at the time to appending it to the Thanksgiving holiday and so forth. But you're also trying to balance number of school days per semester or per half of year, right? And then aligning these calendars with the community college and school district number 2, because we have teachers and students who are either for sports or just for their own profession are commuting back or forth for those kind of things as well. So a couple other things that go into that decision. Mr. Franks.
Chairman Wright. So I guess just for my own knowledge as well, then if this is something that we really can't change until the 2027 type of thing, and then what options do we have? I mean, what are good options other than what we've already discussed, I guess is my question.
What a great question to ask. I was just double checking. So with the surveys only going out to staff and the staff bringing back those 2 options, one of the options dropping off because we had to align with the college to make sure that we didn't have kids both in first semester and second semester at the same time. The board can make an amendment. You can choose to override the will of the staff with the 5 days at Thanksgiving, and you can give the direction that it's a 2-day education week. So there's not the entire week off. You can say Monday, Tuesday's back. The beginning of the school year starts with 2 days. 2 days of education is 2 days of education. It's 2 days that you're not in the class. There's 2 days that you are. So the board can make an amendment to the calendar for the 25-26 school year for just the first. And you could make the amendment that it is a recommendation is a 2-day, that's a 2-day break. And in the amendment, you allow Ms. Bolton to rebalance the days for the calendar, which is just a swap of 2 days from the first semester to the second semester. So it's just moving the semester dates, and she can move forward. If it doesn't pass, you get crazy tight on registration and calendar release for the high school and its registration and the time that gets put out. But you absolutely have the ability to make the amendment and do it for 1 year, and then pitch back out that if Mr. Gardner would like the survey to go out to community members as well around what their thoughts are instead of just staff, you absolutely can. Calendar committee is probably one of the more entertaining committees that I am so happy to no longer be a part of. However, it is there, right? Everybody's got an opportunity to share their piece, and many times it's to the piece of the person that's sitting on the committee, which works best for them. But I would recommend, if you wanted to move forward, make the amendment, drop the 2, add the 2 days in there, change the semester start, and then it provides the calendar committee an opportunity to look at 26, 27, or 27, 28. Yes.
Okay. Chair Wright and Superintendent Libby, Chair, members of the board, sorry. This is if you guys choose to make an amendment, which is that is this is your guys' decision. Ultimately, I would ask a couple things. I don't want to change the starter end of the semester. So if we took 2 days of break away and we need to add them, I would honestly recommend that we add a President's Day off and then maybe a fall holiday or something so that I could move forward with that